Just before we start, I'm going to make you aware that I have been dying of the man flu for about the last week, so this video might seem particularly low energy because I don't really have it in me to be as energetic as I usually am. I want to die. But a new video is well overdue, so I've just decided to stop being such a little bitch and just get on with it. Everybody loves a hero story. A story of courage, a story of bravery, a story of saving the day in the face of great danger. Everybody loves a hero story. But people love hero stories even more when the hero in question was just your average, everyday working Joe who was thrust into greatness because he heeded the call to action and saved the day in the face of great danger. But the hero we're talking about today earned the title of Mad Lad not because he fought against evil in a very extraordinary way. He earned the title of Mad Lad because he fought against evil in a very Scottish way. John Smeaton, better known as Smeaton. But before we get into the Mad Lad, a big thank you to Throne Kingdom at War for sponsoring this video. Throne Kingdom at War is a browser-based game following the classic strategy wargame format. You can join one of the authoritative orders, or you can group up with friends and create your own order. Because it's browser-based, the graphics are far better and it has a much better frame rate. Manage your cities and create massive armies and work together with friends to dominate your enemies, claim the throne and control the empire. You can research technology to make your army and heroes stronger to make it easier to crush your enemies. My favourite thing is building up and managing my cities and building up massive armies that I can use to flatten people and really annoy them. And the best thing about Throne Kingdom at War is that it's free to play. You can join Throne Kingdom at War by clicking my link down in the description and you'll get a bonus of 200 gold coins. So click the link down below. Unless you hate fun. John Smeaton was born in Bishopton, Renfrewshire, just outside of Glasgow in 1976, and he was raised in Erskine, and sadly, that's pretty much everything we know about his early life, but we do know that he eventually got a job as a baggage handler at Glasgow Airport. So fast forward to the 30th of June 2007, and Smeaton was working away at his job as a baggage handler at Glasgow Airport. What Smeaton didn't know is that something was going to happen later that day that would change his life forever. Two men had something planned for Glasgow Airport that day. These two men were Bilal Abdullah, who was an Iraqi immigrant who was working at the Royal Alexandria Hospital, and Kafil Ahmed, an Indian immigrant who was an engineer that was studying for a PhD in fluid dynamics. Their plan was to fill a green Jeep Cherokee with explosive devices, petrol containers and propane canisters and crash it into the front lobby of Glasgow Airport, where they would detonate it, killing everyone inside and also themselves. They also planned to do the attack on the 30th of June because that's the beginning of the holiday rush and it's the busiest day at Glasgow Airport, so that they could make sure that they killed as many innocent people as they possibly could. These two gentlemen were radical Islamic terrorists who wanted to murder a bunch of innocent women and children so that they could get their 72 virgin gamer girls. So on the 30th of June, at around 3 o'clock, the two men were driving towards Glasgow Airport in their green Jeep Cherokee vehicle bomb to carry out their attack. But unfortunately for them, and very fortunately for us, everything that could have gone wrong with their plan went wrong to such an extent that this was almost a comedy skit. For starters, the roads that lead to Glasgow Airport don't approach it from the front at all, they approach it from the side, and furthermore the roads are a bit windy and they also have a roundabout on them, and it being the busiest day of the year, there was a lot of traffic on the roads as well, so the men not only couldn't build up enough speed to properly carry out their attack, they couldn't actually hit the entrance head on. They were going to have to hit it from an angle. The men did manage to hit their target, but there was a few problems. Because of the roundabouts, the windy road and the traffic leading up to the airport, the men couldn't build up any speed at all. So at the moment they hit the front door of Glasgow Airport, they were only going at 30 miles per hour. But it gets even better from there. Because of the angle of the road, they couldn't hit the target head on. They had to hit it at an angle. So they hit the target at an angle and only going 30 miles per hour, which meant that even though the front entrance of Glasgow Airport is made mostly of glass and a little bit of metal, they barely even got through the door. In fact, they didn't make it into the lobby at all. So the plan has already gone to shit. But what makes things even better is, even though they barely got through the front door, the vehicle was now stuck, so they couldn't drive it forward or backwards. They were stuck in the front entrance. You might think that, oh, okay, everything is already completely gone to shit, as bad as it can be. You would think that, but oh no, believe it or not, things got much worse for these guys. Much worse. When they hit the building, the petrol tank of the car ruptured and ignited, so flames were coming out from underneath the car. But that isn't the only thing that ruptured. You see, when they first hit the building, the petrol tanks in the back that were intended to be used as part of the bomb also ruptured and flew forward, pouring all of their contents everywhere, partially over Bilal, but Kafil was completely covered from head to toe. This petrol then leaked down and connected with the flames coming out from underneath the car, and fucking whoosh! Both of them lit up like fucking Christmas trees. Bilal, who was only partially on fire, threw some petrol bombs out of the car and then got out and started fighting with the police. Kafil also got out of the car, but he didn't really do much apart from running around flailing his arms wildly because he was a fucking human torch. Bilal attempted to run to the back of the car and open the boot. Some people think he was doing this to try and fully detonate the bomb because it completely failed to go off. And just when you thought the luck of these two guys couldn't get any worse, John Smeaton was nearby having a smoke break, and he heard the commotion, so he ran around the building to see what was going on, and as he was running towards the scene, he knew right away it was a terrorist attack. So he did exactly what any Scottish man would do when running into such a situation. He went full Scottish. Smeaton ran right up to Kafil, who, bear in mind, is still completely on fucking fire, and Smeaton shouted, "Fucking mon then." Now, for the non-Celtic tribes, fucking mon then is a very, very commonly used Scottish phrase which you would say to someone when you want to challenge them to a fight. The American equivalents would probably be, "Come at me, bro," or "You wanna go, bro." Upon uttering this phrase, John Smeaton ran directly up to a man who is completely engulfed in flames and delivered an absolute powerhouse kick directly to the man's balls. Bystanders who witnessed this act of great bravery were inspired, and they all decided to jump in too, and all of them immediately started kicking the absolute shit out of the burning terrorists. And bear in mind, the entire time that this is happening, it's happening directly next to the vehicle, which is still burning and still has petrol containers and propane canisters in it, which could have gone off at any second. But Kafil's nuts were due a little bit more punishment. Another man who ran in to save the day, named Alex McIlveen, decided that he too wanted to kick burning terrorists in the balls. So he delivered an even harder kick directly into Kafil's nuts. A kick so hard that Mr. McIlveen actually tore a tendon in his own foot. He was praised in the media with the headline, "I kicked burning terrorists so hard in balls that I tore a tendon in my foot." That is not a Photoshop. That is a genuine headline. That actually was the front page of the paper. During the fight, another man named Michael Kerr also jumped in to help beat up the burning terrorists, but during the fray, he got his leg broken, but John Smeaton grabbed him and dragged him to safety. Eventually, the flames were put out and the terrorists were subdued. The police then began an operation to safely remove any unexploded items from the vehicle. Once the vehicle bomb had been defused and the terrorists were detained, news cameras turned up so they could cover the situation. And while they were there, they were told of the bravery of a man named John Smeaton, and they really wanted to talk to him, which ended up giving us one of the most Scottish interviews that has ever happened.
I see the guy get out the car, the car's on flames, and the guy gets out and goes straight for the police, and I'm like, no chance, no chance, this isn't happening. I'm just like, right, go for it. You know, that was the only thing I thought, go for it, go and get this guy. All the way across, and as you turn around, you see a guy in flames lying on the ground, and he tries to get up, and people are hosing him down. It's just, you just don't expect to see that in a great work, especially at Glasgow Airport, you know.
And during this interview, John Smeaton said something that would end up becoming one of the most iconic phrases in Glasgow's history.
They can try and come to Britain and they'll try and disrupt us any way they want, but the British people have been under a lot more things than this, and we always stand proud. And then you come to Glasgow, Glasgow doesn't accept us, do you know what I mean? This is Glasgow, you know, so yeah, we'll set about you, you know, that's it.
This is Glasgow, we'll set about you. Again, for the non-Celtic tribes, we'll set about you means we'll kick the shit out of you. And to this day, I have absolutely no idea how that has not been adopted as the city's official motto. As for the two terrorists, Bilal was given medical treatment and taken to the police station, but Kafil was taken to the Royal Alexandria Hospital for treatment because he'd suffered burns to 90% of his body, and while the doctors were treating him, they discovered a device attached to his body, and believing it was an explosive, they evacuated the hospital. The bomb squad removed the device and carried out a controlled explosion in the hospital car park, where they discovered that the device was not explosive. Kafil, however, was burned so severely that he later died of his wounds. In the aftermath of the attack, the police launched a full investigation so that they could catch everyone that was involved in it, and in the end, the police ended up arresting a total of 8 people. During the investigation, the police believed that there might have been a link between the two Glasgow airport terrorists and the London car bombings which had taken place just 36 hours earlier, because the vehicle bombs used in both attacks were very similar. Bilal was put on trial for the attack and found guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison and has to serve a minimum of 32 years before he can apply for release. In the following months, John Smeaton was paraded through the papers as a hero and an inspiration for people to take action in the face of great danger. A newsagent and former policeman called Mohammed Afsa fought back against armed robbers that were trying to rob him in his shop, and he said that his inspiration for doing so was John Smeaton. But despite all of the publicity, interviews, TV appearances and so on, Smeaton just kept working as a baggage handler at Glasgow Airport. He did later on, however, get a job as head of security at a nearby company. It wasn't all sunshine and roses though, because someone who was present at the attack accused John Smeaton of exaggerating his story, and that person was Alex McIlveen, the guy that tore a tendon in his foot. Alex actually said that Smeaton never even landed a single blow on the terrorists. Smeaton did hit back at this and said that the CCTV which would be shown during the trial would confirm that everything John Smeaton had claimed is true, but John Smeaton did say many times that the papers were too focused on him and they weren't showing the other heroes that were involved the recognition that they deserved. And when the CCTV did get released, it proved that everything John Smeaton said was completely true. For his heroism, Smeaton was given the Pride of Britain Award, the Everyday Hero Award, and biggest of all, the Queen's Gallantry Medal, pinned on him by the Queen herself. In 2008, John Smeaton suffered an asthma attack that was so bad that doctors had to put him into an induced coma, but fortunately he woke up from this coma after a few weeks and made a full recovery.
The worst attack I've ever had. You know, I've had one really bad attack before, and that was when I was 19 and I was in intensive care for 3 days, but this time was a whole different story. Getting there slowly but surely, but I'm getting there, you know. I'm getting a lot more strength back and putting the weight back on, so I'm getting there. I'm feeling a lot better, thank you very much. Yeah, really good, thanks.
In 2009, John Smeaton ran as an independent candidate in the Glasgow North East by-election, and he was actually the first ever jury-selected independent candidate for a Westminster election, yet somehow he only pulled in about 250 votes. He deserved way more than that. We could have had John Smeaton MP. We could have had John Smeaton MP, Smeaton MP, but you only gave him 250 votes. That's bloody shameful. Smeaton deserves better. So where is John Smeaton now? He's actually living in the US, in New York. He works in various jobs like fish farmer, carpenter and construction labourer. You fucking Yanks stole him from us. He says he really enjoys it because he likes being out of the media and out of the limelight, because he just wants to have a simple life where he can just get on with things and not have the media up his arse all the time. And I completely understand and respect that decision, and he seems really, really happy with the decision that he's made. The Glasgow airport attacks were actually a very unifying event for the Scottish people. A pair of scumbags tried to murder innocent women and children, and despite the great danger, it was just your average, everyday people that jumped in to stop them. And they saved hundreds and hundreds of people's lives, and those people are heroes. But what makes me love these heroes even more is that they saved the day in the most Scottish way imaginable. I mean, despite the fact that there was a burning vehicle bomb right next to them that could have gone off at any second, and despite the fact that the terrorists were literally on fire, that didn't stop the Scottish people from jumping in there, kicking them in the balls, and beating the absolute shit out of them. Just thinking about it makes me love my country so much. Look, I tried my best. I realised that I'm very low energy and I kept having to like cut footage because I kept coughing and having to blow my nose, but I tried my hardest, right? So I'm very sorry for the low energy, but I genuinely do feel like shit. And before I end the video, I just want you to see this. Look at this. That's 2 days. That's 2 days of being sick. That is 2 days of man flu. That is just 2 days of man flu. Or a 1 hour Necopara playthrough.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody should subscribe. Yeah.